Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Cimnanya on I and Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So we'll be talking something very important, and it's about all these influencers that sometimes you probably do not know what they have done or the things they have said about Black people or how anti-Black they are before they became influencers or before they started being allies to Black people and all of that. Because this particular video is about a young man, probably while he was growing up and all that, teen and the rest of it, has used some N-word or said some certain things or say some things like, slavery, that are some things that are just not so nice, some things that, like, popular people also say about us and all that. And a lot of people are calling him out on that. So he actually came to address that. And a lot of people are like, sometimes we give people second chance because probably they have unlearned, deconstructing, and relearning and all that, which I also like. I am a firm believer that there is need for people to, like, there is need for second chance, give people opportunities and all that. Like, probably that was the person he was in the past, and now he is just a new person. But there is something I also do not want us to forget, that most of the allies we have, you all already know that we do not have, but the ones that always claim that they are our allies, you end up seeing that some of them are really not as nice as we think, because at some point you start seeing some certain videos where they are saying some denigrating word, using some kind of words about us surface online. Let's get into this video.
And that your husband is racist towards Black Hondurans. This is true. I don't know though. That's what I heard.
I guess this guy doesn't like Black people and Mexicans, and he's projecting. This guy tweeted he's gonna get robbed by Black people because of Black History Month, and that's not even the worst of it. I guess Tony used to run fan accounts, and he would post like Nicki Minaj in a Klan outfit. I mean, that's totally great to put a Black woman in a Klan outfit with, a lot of slave imagery right here. And yeah, it's definitely his account, okay? It's definitely his. He allegedly maybe posted something about Mexicans as well. That's pretty messed up. It's so bad I can't even read it out loud. So I guess he had beef with Mexicans, and that's why he posted it back in his spam days. But I don't think that's funny, especially when you go on your app trying to cancel people basically for every single little thing that they do. The worst one might be this one where he posts just like Nicki Minaj with a bunch of little white kids. And he says, "Me with my 47 white kings that I let hit throughout the year." It's giving a predator. And it's funny, the people who complain about white people the most tend to like them the most, Like, this entire account is projection. I guess this blew up on Twitter a while back, but nobody made a TikTok on it, and this girl broke the story and exposed it. But I went on Twitter, found all the screenshots I could find, and I'll DM you guys if you want to make a video on it. Just DM me for the screenshots. The reason I'm making a video on this is because I got ratioed. Listen, I'm getting it back in blood. We're never getting ratioed again. We're never losing again. Let's go!
When it comes to influencers, a lot of them have horrible past, to the point where you're so shocked that they even did what they did before they became an influencer. So apparently Tony has said some xenophobic / racist comments in the past, and to be honest, I didn't know about that. So when you see that he said those things about Black people and Mexican people, it makes you look at him sideways, because it's like, you be trying to speak up for us, but you was the same one talking down on us. So why should we even listen to you? Some people call it selective activism, others call it fake and phony. But to be honest with you, I think this is another reason why I don't really trust everything the influencers say nowadays, because they will literally get on this app and say, oh, I'm for Black Lives Matter, I'm for, the people. But really, they're not for the people, because they used to really be the ones talking down about the same people that they're fighting for. But let me know how you guys feel in the comments.
So I wanted to come on here and address some things. I'm sure you guys have seen the post, and if not, I'll provide some context as to what I'm talking about. But starting off, I'm not gonna lie, definitely could have addressed it sooner. And not only that, because technically I have addressed a lot of this, address it head on, fully, and also all together. That way people don't have to go searching for different parts or different responses or apologies to different things. So I wanted to do it all in one video. And to the people defending me, I ask you not to, because while I do appreciate it, there are some things that are true. And of course there are things that are made up and lies too. But when you defend me, it seems like you're just blindly defending me against everything and not only the stuff that aren't true. So I would refrain from doing that. And also, as you guys know, I left my platform back in 2021 because of something similar, and I had just lost the plot. My page was very unserious. I had videos thirsting over guys on TikTok, so when I came back, and you know this if you followed me since before my hair was long, I came back with a more serious platform where my aim is to educate, have difficult conversations, and also advocate for my community, but it's hard to do that without fully addressing stuff I have said in the past. So to begin with Bodak Minaj, and if you don't know what Bodak Minaj is, it's my spam account on Instagram a couple years ago. I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, was it really him though? It wasn't him. Maybe he shared the account. The account was mine. Other people had access to it, but 99% of the posts were mine, so it was my account. And Bodak Minaj wasn't the only spam page I had, which I'm sure you guys know as well. I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses. I said messed up things, specifically using jokes that don't affect me, definitely overstepping as a non-black person, even if those jokes were made between followers, friends, and I thought it was normal back then because of the whole Instagram spam era, but obviously you guys and I both know that's just not okay. I am sorry for the post, but more so for being too comfortable in using proximity, aka friends, for us as a substitute for the experience that black people live. And this is something that I did a lot back then, especially with jokes made between friends that I shouldn't have been making in the first place. I thought it was okay back then because, again, that's how a lot of people on spam Instagram joke. But when I think about how today I wouldn't make those same jokes, because to me they're too offensive, they're just offensive in general, too far, etc. That's what makes me want to apologize and admit it wasn't okay. So for that, I'm sorry. I also saw some people saying like he ran a racist spam page talking about Bodak Minaj. That's just not true. To the people that followed me on my spam, including people who are still mutuals of mine today, know that yes, I did make jokes that were too far. Again, overstepping, and for that I apologize. 99% of my posts, however, were literally me spam posting the same music video clips of Nati Natasha, ranting about my family issues, specifically with my mom, telling story times about my hookups, etc. It wasn't like a secret account or an account I was hiding. It was private, but everyone knew it was me. Being said, there's a lot of fake screenshots and fake things that are being spread, specifically not only just about Bodak Minaj but in general. For example, I saw a screenshot that was clearly fake where it shows me asking why do so many N-words follow me on TikTok using the hard R, and also these M words are so dumb. If you don't know what the M word is, it's cállate but with an M at the beginning. That's just not true. I didn't use the N word on my spam or anywhere. That word's not in my vocabulary, especially the M word as well. I wouldn't have an issue admitting it if I did say that. No, again, none of those words are in my vocabulary and they haven't been, so I don't know what else to say about that. I don't use those words. And now speaking about K-pop, I know this might sound unserious, but this is how a lot of people's frustration first started with me, so I feel like I should address it. Again, I know how crazy K-pop fans are. I would never make a joke about a K-pop idol's body. Like, the way that it started was I made a joke about a K-pop rap and basically said like, oh, the beat is beating his ass, and then people were upset about that, which again is fine. You know, the whole speaking on rap as a non-black person, I get why that's like not okay, and then I check myself on that now. I don't do it anymore. But then people started saying stuff along the lines of like, oh, he also called that idol fat, or he called Jihyo fat too. And I was just confused where this came from, because what business would I have speaking on an idol's body? I don't do that. I literally get angry when people talk about, oh, Jungyeon looks bad in this outfit, or like she needs to lose weight, so I would just never do that. But that is how a lot of this first started in 2021, so I felt like that was important to address as well. Okay, now when it comes to the B slur, if you don't know what the B slur is, it's basically the word meaner, but instead of an M at the beginning, it's a B. I have addressed this many times, but it was always like in a comment, a reply, a live stream, or a video. Or when I did make a video apologizing for it, I had to post it on my backup account because this was during that one era of TikTok where people would literally get blocked from posting for like a week. I did say the B word. There is a video that I posted myself on my Instagram. I wasn't hiding it or anything. This was during my first year of college, so like 4 years ago. But nevertheless, the word should have never came out of my mouth. I think we can all agree on that. And again, for that, I'm sorry. And it'd be disingenuous of me to just sit here and say I'm sorry and apologize and pretend like I wasn't making excuses for my word at the time, for my use of the word at the time. People were saying like, oh, it's only used against Mexicans, therefore only they can reclaim it, which I fully agree with now, especially after seeing how much this was a common sentiment amongst Mexicans. So I sat back and I was like, okay, if yes, other Latinos get affected by the word, but if someone has a specific Latino origin in mind when they're using it, then maybe it's not my place to reclaim that word. So yeah, sorry for the rain, I'm in my car. But when I made these jokes on my spam, these were what I perceived as intracommunal jokes made within the community. I felt like they were okay since it was my community, and it felt like I was like self-deprecating and stuff, I guess, like talking about them because that was the majority of my audience, and the people who were making the jokes back at me were also Latino. But again, I know that that was wrong now. And growing up, I knew that word was targeted towards Mexicans. I just didn't know we couldn't say it because of how it's used against Central Americans and South Americans where I'm from. But even with that being said, I don't use it anymore. It's not my place. And I've seen some discourse around the word wet, basically saying, oh, well, he's allowed to say that one. He shouldn't get in trouble for that. I'm going to say no to that one as well, especially when calling someone that and learning the context of how that word has been used in the history, using it against Mexicans in deportation campaigns, I decided, you know what, not gonna say that one either. Not my place either. Now when it comes to quote unquote me talking to minors, if you want to be upset with any of the things I did admit to, or any of the things that you thought I did ended up not being true, that's fine. But don't say I heard he did this when we all know that isn't true. I don't talk to minors. I don't know what else to say about that. I don't know where that came from. When I was on dating apps, my ages were set to like 22 to 26, and I'm 23, so that's that. I don't even know where this came from, but I felt like I needed to include it because I saw some people talking about it. I feel like it came from, I had this like stalker that changed his profile picture to like my little like 5-year-old brother at the time that would literally harass my friends and be like, oh, well, he touches kids, like he does this, and I don't know where that stalker came from, but thankfully they've left me alone ever since then. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I don't talk to minors. I have no interest in minors. Yeah. So with that being said, I wanted to come on here and address all of that, things that I did do and admit to it, and things that I didn't do and I guess correct it. But again, the whole being disingenuous thing, I'm not going to keep posting like nothing happened. So I'm not going to post for a couple days in order for people to see this video. And someone also told me that I should pin this video. So I'm going to pin it on my profile so that everyone gets to see it, so that they don't have to go looking for it. So yeah, the things that I did do, I can't change that, but I can sit here and admit it to you guys in one video. That way, like, I feel like people are like, well, he addressed it this thing, but it's so hard to find it. So I wanted to put it all in one video, and I'm going to pin it to my profile so that you guys can see it, everything addressed in one video. But yeah. And again, taking responsibility for stuff that I posted, stuff that I reposted, stuff that I said, both on my spam and outside of my spam. I still want to continue to make my platform an educational place because that's what I'm here to do on TikTok. I'm not here to make jokes that I shouldn't be making because that's just not me anymore.
So before running to the comments, I need everyone to please watch this video in its entirety and do not put words in my mouth. This will be a take that many folks will not agree with because number one, they're not ready for their own self-reflection, and number two, they don't actually want a revolution. First and foremost, I will only be speaking on anti-blackness. I am not a Mexican person, so the B slur is not mine to touch. Secondly, I am in no way justifying anti-blackness, but I am going to contextualize it. Thirdly, this is not me saying that you must accept Tony's apology. So number one, I want to address the comments where people are saying, I would never say or do something anti-black. I want to be very clear when I say this. That is 110% a lie. Anti-blackness, racism, colorism, white supremacy, fat phobia, sexism, Islamophobia, xenophobia, etc. are all global issues as well as systemic and systematic. There is not a continent on this earth that is safe from any of those issues, and specifically anti-blackness. Not only is it disingenuous to say this, but it is actually harmful because this type of thinking makes racism and anti-blackness an individual phenomenon and not a systemic phenomenon. And with understanding that racism and anti-blackness are global and systemic and systematic, it is also delusional, if not narcissistic, to believe that you yourself are the exception to anti-blackness. Black people ourselves are not safe from anti-blackness, so especially you as a non-black person, why would you think that you are? The only way to not have said or done something anti-black in your life is if you were born in a utopian society where everyone was treated equal, and we know that this is not the case. With that being said, please stop putting activists, creators, and educators on pedestals. People who spend a lot of time in the internet or the public sphere will say or do anti-black things, just like people are doing in private, whether that be intentionally or not intentionally. I guarantee to you that if we took everyone and put their life on the big screen, they will have done or said several anti-black things. Because the entire point is that it is so deeply ingrained in our society. With that being said, many people go into activism because they have started deconstructing and unlearning their own biases. And unlearning your own biases in every sphere should be lifelong. It is not just a switch that you can just automatically turn off. The reason why racism is still alive today, and not even just alive, but thriving, is because its nature is to transform. Racism looks different than it did 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And because anti-blackness and racism shift with the time period, it's a big reason why people will say, oh, I'm not anti-black, oh, I'm not racist, because it doesn't look the way that it used to, the way that they're expecting it to look. This leads me to my next point, that it can be very classist to assume that someone should know that something is racist or anti-black. We are programmed to be this way as soon as we are born, and the school system that we have is horrendous. That, coupled with the fact that anti-blackness is more subtle than it used to be, means that people may do things without realizing they're anti-black. And that being said, people may also act on these biases subconsciously. For example, if you see a black person walking and you clutch your purse or you move over to the side, you've not done this intentionally or even maliciously, but you have still done it because of the program anti-blackness. Deconstructing and reflecting on those behaviors takes a lot of time and a lot of education. And it's also why intersectionality desperately needs to be taught. Unlearning my own internalized racism and anti-blackness has taken so many years. I have read so many books, I have read so many studies, I have read so many essays. And I also knew where to look for this information. And even when I was actively in college, minoring in African and African American studies, I would say that I was more anti-black then than I am now, because more time has passed, because I've been able to self-reflect even more, because I have read more literature and been exposed to more academics. Finally, I do think there are times when people should be called out, but I don't think this was one of those cases, in my opinion. The entire point of activism and making sure that the world is a better place is that we unlearn the things that we were programmed. And along with that, give people the space to learn and to grow and to understand why these behaviors were bad. And once they have genuinely done that and they're using their platform for good and to educate, what more is there to do? A hard pill to swallow, and one that I had to swallow myself, is that sometimes when you're the one doing the call-outs, you are just projecting onto other people. Activists and educators and content creators are far from perfect. We will have opinions that may be questionable and that may be products of our time. A great example of this is Martin Luther King Jr. He did amazing work for black folks. He has paved the way for nonviolence. And yet, he had questionable opinions about Israel because he did not know what we know now. And I can almost guarantee with my life that if he did, his opinion would have shifted. That doesn't change what he's done for black folks or who he is as a person. And finally, I'll use myself as an example. Growing up in a world post 9/11 meant that I was programmed to be very Islamophobic and to have anti-Arab sentiments. Now, do I actively remember saying anything Islamophobic or anti-Arab or doing anything? No, but that doesn't mean I may not have done it because it was programmed into me. And now I have many Muslim and Palestinian friends. I am always asking questions and trying to get to learn their culture more. My friend Ella gave me a Quran that was translated into English, and I've been reading it and researching. I've learned several phrases in Arabic and I use them and I love them. Several conversations with my friends and said, I didn't know that Islam was like this. I was taught to believe that it was this really bad thing, but it's not. It's very... And every day I continue to educate myself, and that doesn't change my past self by any means. But the entire point of activism and wanting the world to be a better place is looking at yourself.
Tony Varro's apology needs to be taken down and re-recorded because it was so bad. He worded everything vague, so he failed to mention directly that he just said some anti-black shit on his Bodak Minaj account. Well, that's the only account he would admit to, having, but, the only one he could admit to having, because that's the only one that has his face tied to it, but there's more, and I'll get to it. But he failed to mention directly that he laughed at a lynching joke. He posted it on his Instagram account, but also said that he felt African-American when listening to a Nicki Minaj song. He posted a picture of Nicki Minaj's new song at the time, said that he felt African-American listening to it, and felt that he was like walking in New Orleans listening to that. He failed to mention that straight up front, but he was comfortable mentioning the fact that he said the beast slur against Mexicans, and actually explains the situation to that. But he failed to mention up front what he specifically said against black people. That's really weird. Why can't you list what you said against black people, Tony Varro? So that's one. But for two, he failed to address everything. So there are two parts to this. Mind you, so the Bodak Minaj account has at least two usernames, That Harvey and Bodak Minaj. So that means that account has had, multiple usernames throughout its fucking history. And Bodak Minaj is the only one that has his face tied to it. So when a friend last year that was exposing him was posted, they included posts from an account called Pinkprint that's presumably him, where he posted a really bad fucking stereotype-a-thon rant against Mexicans, but also you can see the post on my previous post, by the way, but he made a really predatory post and also racist post where he posted a picture of Nicki Minaj with a bunch of young white boys, like 13, 12, 11 white boys, where he said that those are him and the 47 white kings he led to hit throughout the year. But also, there's a black boy originally in the picture, and he cropped him out. And he said, by the way, I cropped out the C0r boy. I mean, you don't know what the C0r he used here specifically. Think of the verb to color, the past tense of that. Yeah.
So this is all I got from this.
So
and the comment section wasn't kind of wide. And like one of the people that spoke on this, he said that most of the influencers, like if you decide to trace back their life and like, the things they have done and all that, you probably might not be very proud and all that. That's why most times when I see allies, I am like, oh, can we just go down the rabbit hole and all that? But sometimes there is no need going down the rabbit hole. And I am not trying to make excuses for anybody because like, people like kind of just grow up and maybe he is grown. He did those things when he was like, younger. But then I think like if you did something when you are younger, there is possibility that that thing, like you still do that, but probably in the closet and say some certain things about black people in the closet where people are not. Because I have really seen so many allies. You all already know that. I don't think I need to explain, but then let me talk about it. There are so many allies that are like out there speaking up for black people, being great advocate and all that, and all of a sudden something like pops up about probably where they say something not nice about black people and the rest of it, right? So this is not the first time, but sometimes there is need for like giving people second chance, but do not trust anybody. Sincerely speaking, I do not trust anybody when it comes to speaking things or speaking about what is going on in black community or being a great activist or like, an ally in general. I do not trust them because some of them are not as nice as they appear, I have seen a lot of people like, that something is just going to happen like this and you see them switch up on black people. I have also seen people that built like black people built up like that grew off black people's platform, and when they become very popular you see them, boom, that is the end of them speaking about black people. They turn against black people. So this young man, he has always been actually on his game, talking about like being an activist or probably being an ally, right, for black people and all that. He has a lot of black following and the rest of it. But you all already know what has happened to black people when they decided to like make somebody popular. It does not end well, right? When they defend someone that is not, it comes up hunting them, because that same person you see them standing up for defending so hard for comes back in the end to do some certain things like that is not nice towards black people. So yeah, like Zem said that she was anti-black probably when she was younger and all that, and I am asking, that actually got me, but then I'm going to leave that for like we're going to talk about that some other time. But how are you anti-black towards your own people? Because people that are anti-black, if you're a black person and you're anti-black, you probably do not like yourself that much. That is how I see it. Because if I come out and start acting all anti-black, there is something wrong. I do not even love myself that much, because if I did love myself that much, I wouldn't want to be anti-black towards people that look like me. So check out very well all the people that are anti-black, that are black, that are anti-black. Some of them are kind of damaged. Some of them really need to go for mental, like, evaluation, go for counseling and those, and all of that. Because some of them is something that they internalize, probably growing up, seeing some certain things, or I see like some people, probably the privileges, like they see some of their pop colored people growing up probably in school, and you feel like you are all left alone, or things aren't going better for you, like, you all know the colored children and all that always have their way. But as a black person, we do not have our way in so many things and all that. So some people tend to internalize some certain things and then grew up with it, then became really so horrible and so bad. So, but when I see people like that, I am more like, go and see a therapist, right? And fix yourself. Because if you do not fix yourself, you are damaged and you are also going to damage people around you too. So the best way is fix yourself up. So yeah, I know some people, black people, can be anti-black and all that, but there is a reason for that. Some of them are mixed. Remember that, because them looks mixed. She look mixed. Some of them are mixed. Probably they spend a lot of time with their colored family, lesser time with their black family and all that, and then you see them acting, they really want to be white so bad. But some of them are deconstructing in the sense that they have seen some certain things changing. It looks like black people, not like it looks like, black people are the new everything now. Everybody wants to associate, everybody wants to, identify with blackness and the rest of it. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.